उपविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यं। प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम्.
That is called the Kevalam Atmanam. Kevala Atma. That means the Shuddha Atma. So he says that the Shuddha Atma, which is not getting changed at all by any of our actions, either with thought, analysis, or physical action, or the pranic action, vital action, this Atma is never getting touched by anything at all. But one who sees the Atma as the Karta, which Atma? Which is never doing anything, never getting touched by anything at all. It is not doing anything, it is not active at all. It cannot be, because it is a subject. Any action has to be in the objective level. Action means there is a change. You have to know the change. The Atma is only revealing the change. Any change has to be in the objective level. This has become clear. So, he says that Akrita Buddhitvat, that means the Buddhi has not been purified and trained to see the truth. That is true of all of us. That is, Buddhi has not been purified to see the truth. So, he is using Akrita Buddhitvat. Only he has used, I don't know why, a little harsh word, Durmatihi, he has said. That means all of us are Durmatihi. Sometimes they do. They say that if you have not known the Atma, then you have committed suicide. All of us have committed suicide. Because why? Because he says that that is the real identity for us. And if we have not trying to know that, or we have not known that, that means that Atma is not existing for us. The real Atma is not existing for us. So that is the real suicide. Sahi Atmaha. So he has said that a person who sees this Kevala Atma, that is Shuddha Atma, which is not touched by any change, any action, anything, which is not getting entangled with any of the changes. A person who sees that Atma as the Karta of everything. That is why we are saying, I am doing, I am doing. You should be able to relate that the ego, that I, we are saying, I am the Karta. Who is doing? His buddhi is not Samskrita. His buddhi has not been refined, trained, and sharpened, or so that it can see the truth, have the enough discrimination. Nasa pashyati, that means he doesn't see properly, he doesn't see the truth. Here lies the whole thing. Because the next statement is very drastic statement. Yasya naham krito bhavo.
Yasya naham krito bhavo.
Buddhir yasya na lipyate.
Buddhir yasya na lipyate.
Hatva pisa iman lokan.
Hatva pisa iman lokan.
Nahanti na nibadhyate.
Nahanti na nibadhyate.
He says, if we are able to get rid of this ahankara, that I associated with the body-mind personality, which is doing its function. Buddhiri yasyana lipyate. Lepana means ajnana, means delusion. Whose buddhi has not got any delusion, whose buddhi is free, is pure, free. Yasya naham krito bhavo buddhiri yasya na lipyate. One who is freed of the egotism, and whose buddhi does not have any lepana, means is not deluded at all. Hatva pisa iman lokan nahanti na nivadhyate. If he kills all these people, then also he has not killed anybody, and he doesn't get bound by his action. Normally when any killing is there or anything, suppose a policeman or so, military is not so much, but policemen often they torture the criminal or not criminal also by mistake they do. So generally they will have later on lot of pain and repentation that what they have done if it goes wrong. Not only police, the Rajas in Yoga Vasishta there are many stories. Because a good king will have to administer properly. So for that the criminals have to be punished and the good people have to be rewarded. So a good person, very good, sympathetic, loving king will not be able to give capital punishment because he will think what will happen to his wife, what will happen to his family. All these problems will be there. Now if the king does not punish the criminals, then what will happen to the country? The criminals will rule over the good people will suffer. So the king has to do his duty. Not only that, sometimes the punishment may go wrong. And those days it was not like the case will go from the lower court to high court to Supreme Court and after 20 years the judgment will be given by that time the criminal has died also. It was not like that. The ministers will come, the report will come, the spies will report. Right then and there, king has to take a decision and the Jallada will have to cut off the head. It is right there. And suppose he has done it wrongly, in Kerala there is a story about it, a wrong punishment administered. The king will almost become mad there. Mistake, I have done it. So, actually that in Yoga Vasishta, 2 kings like that, they left their kingdom not being able to bear the torture of their work. This is why it is called Ghora Karma. Ghora Karma means it has lot of difficulty in administering. Even military work is a Ghora Karma. Because Ghora means terrible. It's a terrible karma. So, even if Arjuna, what he is going to do, it's Ghora Karma. So why he is saying also that Krishna, why are you, if Buddhi Yoga is sannyasa and the jnana is the ultimate, why are you engaging me in this Ghora Karma? So the king left the throne and both of them were wandering in the forest. One happened to meet a saint, a rishi over there, a sage. So sage inquired about his problem and all. Finally he started staying there, getting his instruction, etc. Finally he became free, that his mind was absolutely free of all that. And he went back and again started ruling the kingdom. The story says that the other person, after a long time he came and he met his friend and found that he is ruling the kingdom again. So he is asking, how are you back again? What happened to you? Then he is narrating what happened. The story goes like that he went to the sage and what did the saint say? Then he gives the message fully. So in Bhagavad Gita also it is said that the Rajas were having this knowledge because a good king will not be able to rule the kingdom properly without this knowledge. They will not be able to do because they were very good king, thinking about others. The standard of justice in our country is you can administer a punishment to a person when you feel more pain than the punished. समझ में आ रहा? So God can punish people because God is more pained than the punished by punishing somebody. You should understand the dimension of God. Like that, a true justice, a true judge should be more pained than to whom he is administering the punishment. समझ में आ रहा क्या? हिंदी में बोलना है. This is the standard of our judgment. And it was so. That is why the kings needed this knowledge, because they have to have that universal love as well as the impersonal dimension by which whatever to be done they could do. Even the most beloved grandfather had to be killed, he killed. He could not easily. Arjuna was not immediately, he was not. Twice it happened. Once he was not throwing anything at all. The proper arrows were not being thrown. Finally Krishna came down and started running. He said that tumse nahi hoga. He told Arjuna that tumse nahi hoga, hum unko marenge. He came down from the chariot and ran towards Bhishma with the Sudarshana Chakra. Seeing that, Bhishma immediately started worshipping him. Oh, do I have the fortune to die in your hand, oh Prabhu? Please kill me. See, this is the dimension of the people they are describing. But then, by then, Arjuna came running and fell at his feet that you don't have to, because Krishna had promised that I will not take weapon. But he has no qualms in taking up the weapon also. My vow will be going wrong. I have to kill. They have to be killed. Not that I have to kill, they have to be killed. For that, if I have to violate my vow also, I will do it. So finally Arjuna did. So the kings were able to rule properly. Our kings were called Rajarshis. In Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna is saying that this knowledge was the treasure of the Rajarshis. But with time the power corrupts and the kings got corrupted. That is why the situation before Mahabharata, the situation has arisen where the kings do not have the knowledge and they are doing wrong things. So we have to set right the situation and put the rulership of the country in the hands of the knower kings, like that. He mentions that. So, Yasya nahankrito bhava buddhiri yasya na lipyate hatvapi sa iman lokan nahanti na nibadhyate. That he is neither killing anybody nor he will get bound by the sinfulness of what he has done. That sinfulness feeling also will not be there. Now this doesn't mean that one has to kill all the people. It's eulogizing the statement of the state of knowledge is being eulogized. See, even Arjuna was not able to kill Drona. They were not able to kill Drona and Bhishma. It was not easy for them. Krishna had to do many things in the process. So it is an eulogizing statement that even if he has to kill the whole world, it doesn't matter. That impersonality, the dimension of the impersonality, level of the impersonality is such that he can do. That is what he is saying. Don't try to kill anybody. टेस्ट करने के लिए कितना हमारा impersonality हुआ है देखने के लिए किसी को मार डाला. It's not to be tested like that. So this completes one section. Now they are coming to. Now here you should remember, don't forget that this adhisthana, karta, karanam, prithakvidham, that is all the instruments of action, the life forces and the daivam, the providence. These are the causes of all the actions going on. So we have to know that the Atma is not getting touched by any of the things. It is transcendental. What is getting modulated, touched by this and changed is the abhasa of the Atma in our buddhi, the chidabhasa or the adhisthana chaitanya, which is associated with the buddhi and it appears to be changing. There we consider our I to be that. It's just like, as we said so many times, that the waves are there and the moon reflection is there. Waves are moving, so we are thinking that the moon also is dancing, going, becoming half changeful. Like that, this Chidabhasa also, the reflection of the true Atma on our personality, Adhisthana Chaitanya or Chidabhasa, you call it Jiva also. So that one also is appearing to be changing with whatever the body and the personality does. Just like when we are unconscious, it appears to be dead. But nothing happened to the real Atma. So if we associate our identity with this, then we are changeful, we are body-mind limited personality, we are going up and down, we are changing here, we have done something sin, we have done something good, etc. But if we transcend that and identify ourselves with that light, which is reflected by all the beings here. Everywhere that light is working as the Chidabhasa of the different people. If we identify with that, that does not get touched by anything. Now, when we have this universal dimension, that transcendental dimension, then what happens? There is no question of doing anything wrong, because all the wrongdoings, all the selfishness, greed, fear, everything is coming from our small identity. The moment we start thinking that I am small, we run after things, we run away from things, we have greed, we have desire, everything. So don't think that this identity, if it is there, it is a universal identity, then will he not do the wrong things also? Where is the cause for doing wrong things? Because all those selfishness, greed, etc., which are coming from the smallness of our identity, they are not there anymore. Still, you can do something apparently Ashubha or so, which will, from outside, it may appear to be Ashubha. That is only thinking of the final goal. Otherwise, there is no reason that he should do anything wrong, because he has identified himself with the impersonal Atma. This Kevala Atma is very important here. That here Kevalam is there, na? Tatraivam sati kartaram atmanam kevalam tu yaha. Kevalam atmanam. That Kevala means the Shuddha Atma, which does not change at all. Even when a person becomes a knower, that his state is called Kaivalya Bhava. Kaivalya. That means he doesn't have any partiality, any preference, prejudice or anything. He becomes pure. It is also called Kaivalya Navanita. That is, what are we doing for getting butter? We are churning first. We are using the, what do you call it, the saja in the milk, that curdling the milk. We are putting an initiation in the milk. You hear this properly. It's very good illustration. The milk is there. You are putting a small amount of curd into the milk and allowing it to settle. To settle, you have to keep it undisturbed. Suppose you go on disturbing and take milk from there and go on serving, then curdling will not take place. It has to be kept away for settling properly. This is Ramakrishna Dev has identified with after the spiritual initiation, the sadhaka has to remain isolated to make the initiation work properly and get it consolidated. Now, after the curd is there, we churn the curd. Go on churning till the butter starts floating over there. If you put the butter as a lump there, you will find that the butter no longer gets mixed with the milk. It remains in the milk, floating like the butter. That is how when it is churned in the society. Suppose you have been given the spiritual initiation, you have done your meditative sadhana and all, and you have got settled about it. But then you have to be brought to the world, and all the world churning will take place. Sukha, dukkha, everything. Through that churning, the knowledge will get perfected. So that when you become, the knowledge gets perfected, there is no question of mixing it again with the world. You will remain in the world without becoming worldly. So it is called Kaivalya Navanita. That this knowledge is called Kaivalya Navanita. Navanita means butter. The Kaivalya butter. Ragadvesha viyuktaistu vishayan indriyeshcharan atmavashair vidheyatma prasadam adhigacchati. Ragadvesha viyuktaistu. When you are freed of the raga and dvesha, vishayan indriyeshcharan, he is behaving, when the ragadvesha is taken away, dissolved, he will behave in the same world with his same indriyas. Vishayan indriyeshcharan. He is interacting with the same world. But how he is interacting? Atma vashair. His viveka buddhi is always anchored in the Atma. So he is not Vishaya We are always slave to the objects. So we are Vishaya means We are under the control of the objects and objective situation. In his case, he is under the guidance of the Atma, Atma Vashyai. So he is through Viveka Buddhi, he is anchored in the Atma. Vidheya Atma. Vidheya Atma means discipline. What kind of discipline? It's an internal discipline. So his whole being is disciplined by remaining anchored in the Atma. Prasadam adhigacchati. He attains prasada, the placidity of the mind. Although he is working in the same world, with the same sense organs, without getting affected by he gets freed of the worldliness, the world remains the same. So we have to understand that nothing is wrong with the world. Nothing is wrong with our sense organs also. All the problem is with our mind, which is suffering from raga and dvesha. And the buddhi following that, everything like that. So this is the meaning of tatraivam sati kartaram atmanam kevalam tu yaha pashyati akrita buddhitvat nasa pashyati durmatihi yasya nahankrito bhavo buddhiri yasya na lipyate hatvapi sa iman lokan nahanti na nibadhyate. This 18.17 generally we compare with the 1.44. That is where Arjuna's statement before getting the message from Krishna in the first chapter, 44th verse, he is saying that Ahovata mahat papam. Ahovata mahat papam kattum vyavasita vayam yat rajya sukhalobhena hantum swajanam udyataha. That we are about to commit one of the greatest sin, that for rajya sukha lobha. This is the important point here. For the greed for enjoying the happiness out of kingship. It is foolish statement also. King's life, a good king's life is never happy. It's like a crown of thorns. But he is saying as if becoming king I will become very happy. Not only that, he is fighting. How does he know that he will win the kingdom and then become happy? All the foolishness is there. The delusion is completely there. He is thinking that we are going to commit a sin because why are we killing our people? For the greed for enjoying the kingdom. That was the statement. That was his mindset. And now what is Krishna saying here? If your mind is free of the ahankara, the ego, and your buddhi is free of the lepana. Lepana means the delusion, the sangha, the kartritva bhoktritva, katri bhoktri bhava. If the buddhi is freed of this lepana, taint, then even if you kill all these people, you will not be sinful at all. Now, Yudhishthira became very sinful. His whole body was burning from sinfulness. Because when he discovered that Karna was his elder brother, and they had to fight and kill his elder brother. Normally they will leave the kingdom to the elder brother. So he repeatedly says, if I had known, I would have given him the kingdom. Why should I fight? But Kunti had concealed that Karna was his elder brother. Now, this work, Yudhishthira became absolutely, he started feeling so sinful and pathetic about it that nobody could console him. Even Krishna could not console him. Finally, Krishna suggested you go to Bhishma Pitamaha and speak to him. He will console you. Yudhishthira said that I cannot go to him. I am so sinful. What I have done, after that I cannot see his face. Okay, you come with me. I will introduce you. So took them, and then comes from Bhishma the Shanti Parva, one of the longest chapters. Everything is there in that Shanti Parva. So Yudhishthira had that sinfulness, and to overcome it, he listened to Bhishma for a long time, and then Bhishma suggested that you do Ashwamedha Yaga, which will take 1 year of preparation and all, to get rid of the sorrow he was suffering from. He was burning with the sorrow. Then Yudhishthira asked that for a king we can do the Ashwamedha Yaga. What about the ordinary people when they commit sin and they suffer like this? Then he suggested the Vishnu Sahasranama. That is why from Mahabharata the Vishnu Sahasranama comes. Actually what is being done is that this, everywhere it is causality. What is its sinfulness? Some causality, the gross causality we can see. Is it not? Everything, if the electricity is there, the sound is getting expanded, amplified. But there are subtle causalities there. This sinfulness is a causality, that mind thought in a manner, and because of whatever happened, it is the effect of that. The mind is suffering from a sinfulness. This is also by causality. So what we have to do, if you go on suffering like that, the suffering will continue. To free the mind, what we do is we introduce another event there as a cause, which will annihilate or neutralize the suffering. See, even the astrologers, when they suggest that this yaga to be done, that yaga to be done, it is to introduce a new cause. By doing the yaga, you will start feeling better. It is all to do with the mind. Don't say that it is all foolish. They are very clever way of doing it. That the mind is suffering a causality. Mind is a subtle element. You do something by which the mind will generate some new events which will have its own effect, and it will neutralize the previous strain of causality. Like that, everything is being done. Even the Shraddha is like that. All these religious things are devised in this manner. We will go to the next section, 18th. Jnanam jneyam parijñāta
Jnanam jneyam parijñāta
trividha karma chodana
Trividha karma chodana
karanam karma karteti
Karanam karma karteti
trividha karma sangraha.
Trividha karma sangraha.
Karma chodana means mental impulsion for work. I don't know what they have translated. It is something like that. Mental impulsion for work. It is the motivation, you can say. Motivation for work. Or mental impulsion for work. Karma chodana. Now, where from this impulsion for work is coming? He is saying jnanam jneyam parijñāta. This is the threefold impulse for work. Jnanam. Jnanam means some knowledge, something. Jneyam means whatever to be known. That jnanam is related to jneyam, the knowledge of what? And parijñāta, the knower. These three, he is saying, is the impulsion. How is it working? Suppose you know that there is something very nutritious. There is a drink which is very nutritious. Now, this drink is the jneyam. The quality of the drink, the nutrition of the drink, that has to be known. And when you are coming to know, it is operating in your mind, in your knowledge, in your intelligence, that you know that it is nutritious. You are the parijñāta, you have to take the decision that because it is nutritious, I would like to take. This is true anywhere. And when you have taken, again it becomes a jnana, knowledge. All the work, finally when the work is done, even while it is done also, it ends in the knowledge. Because whether you have done or not, it is a memory in you. Even when you are doing also, it is your mind who is knowing. Suppose the mind becomes defective. He will do everything and say that no, I have not done anything. He will take the medicine and ask for the medicine again. In old age it happens very often. Otherwise also it may happen. That is, our operations are depending on something to be known, then knowledge about it, and as a knower taking the decision on the basis of the knowledge. Suppose immediately you say that no, it is not nutritious, it is visham, it is poison. Then you will not take it, immediately you will not take it. Everything is guided by knowledge, and the knower has to take the decision about it.